One of the mitzvahs that we learned in last week's parasha, although it's last week's, but it is very applicable today, and obviously it's part of our daily life. And that's the prohibition of mixing dairy with meat. As the pasuk says, Loi sevashel gidi b'chalev imoy. Do not cook a tender young animal in its mother's milk. Rashi quotes the fact that it says in the Torah 3 times, Loi sevashel gidi b'chalev imoy, to tell us that there is a very unique halacha, a very unique prohibition regarding that mixing of dairy with meat, in terms of that not only we are not allowed to consume it, because it's non-kosher, as all the other non-kosher things, but also it is forbidden to derive any benefit from it. As an example, let's say by accident you had a piece of milk that fell into that piece of meat that fell into a pot of milk, and now it rendered no kosher, and you have a non-Jewish cleaning lady, and you want to offer it to her. It is forbidden. Obviously, to give it to a Jew is forbidden because it's not kosher. But to give it to your non-Jewish cleaning lady, she's allowed to eat non-kosher. Can you give it to her? Says the Torah, no, because you're deriving benefit from it. Instead of feeding her something else, you fed her with this, so you have a benefit. Further, it says we're not even allowed to cook, which is unique. Only this particular mitzvah, this particular prohibition has this severity. We know that this is a chok. It's a statue. We don't know the reason for it. But the Ramban said, although we don't know the reason, there is a message, an important message. This shows us to what extent we have to be sensitive even to the pain of an animal. It is very cruel to take a little goat, a young animal, and cook it in its mother's milk. The animal could feel the pain. So we have to be sensitive even to that, giving us a lesson to what extent we must be sensitive to somebody else's feelings. If it's true for an animal, how much more so for a human being? Rabbeinu Bechaya, who was Bechaya ben Asher, one of the Rishonim, lived in Spain in the 1300s, and he says that's interesting. It says in Kabbalah that in the time of Mashiach, it will be permitted to enjoy, to mix, to cook, to benefit from a dish which is a mixture of dairy and meat. And one wonders why. We know Torah Zolaite Mochlefes. The Torah that we have today will be applied also in the time of the Geula. We know that the halachas, which are now more lenient, will be then more restrictive, because we'll be on a higher level. But he will say the opposite. This which is forbidden now will be permitted then. Why is that? So says Rabbeinu Bechaya, in Kabbalah it says, the reason why we're not supposed to mix dairy with meat, because they represent two opposing godly divine powers. Meat, red, represents severity, gevura. Milk, white, represents chesed. Now, it's possible when we mix these two opposing powers, these two opposing godly emanations, this could create a negative effect. And therefore, this strictness, this severity about mixing in any shape and form, dairy and meat. It says, but in the time of Geula, in the time of Mashiach, where everything and everyone will be permeated with the presence of God, with the knowledge of God, so those qualities will not be anymore concerned with their own identity, with their own expression. It's not going to be their own reality which is paramount. What's going to be paramount? That it's all godly. As the pasuk says, the entire universe will be filled with the wisdom of God. So everything will be permeated with the reality of godliness. So these opposing forces will not be anymore an expression of their own type of quality. They will be able to be blended. Why? Because it's all godly. The godliness will be so revealed, they're so manifest, and so involved in everything, permeating everything, that there will be no more self-consciousness. It will all be just godliness. And therefore, these opposing forces will be very well able to coexist in unity, and it will not bring out any opposite, the negative effect. It will all be a positive experience, and therefore will be permitted. But my friends, we are not waiting for Mashiach so that we should be able to have the delicious shorabor, that meat with God prepared since creation of the world, with a cup of coffee. We want it because we want the godly revelation. Please God, we would like to see it now.